What's good, everybody? Welcome into Inside the Green Room, presented by FanDuel. Make every moment more. He's Dan Green. I'm Harrison Sanford. So much has happened in the National Basketball Association. Players getting suspended, and not a lot has happened with the New Orleans Pelicans, at least now, because they still haven't won. But there is a trickle-down effect of them not winning. The Atlanta Hawks potentially getting a top 3 draft pick in this upcoming NBA draft with supreme talent coming into the league. So much to discuss with the Lakers, with them getting Luka back, and much more. And apparently, one of the key players for the New York Knicks has nerve damage in his hand, and he might be dealing with it for the entirety of this season, meaning he might not have feeling in his hand during actual meaningful basketball games. Not good at all. A lot to discuss right here over the next 30 to 40 minutes or so. So let's get right into it, and we'll start with the biggest story that we've seen, Danny, as it pertains to the Memphis Grizzlies. Ja Morant suspended for his conduct detrimental to the team, or at least the organization deemed it to be, for their most recent game against the Toronto Raptors on Sunday. They lost that game on Sunday. He should be back on Monday as they take on the Detroit Pistons at home. We'll see how he gets. We'll see what the reaction is among the fan base when he gets back to FedEx Forum. But nonetheless, Danny, not an ideal situation for a player and a franchise that consistently have this type of turmoil around it ever since the Ja Morant era has really become a part of our main discussions when it comes to the NBA.
Yeah, bro. It's before I got there, it wasn't that bad, but since I've left there, it's been ugly, and it's one or two things in my eyes, and it actually could be both things. Front office is way out of pocket, and Ja Morant is way out of pocket. Reason being, you just fired your coach. If you fire your coach, Taylor Jenkins, and not run it by your superstar player, you're wilding. Like, you know what I'm saying? Now, if you run it by your superstar player and he's okay with it, you just welcome this coaching staff in, and this is how you start the year with this coaching staff, you're wilding. Like, bruh, even so, even those things were not the case or were the case, regardless of the fact, as a professional, you could not conduct yourself in that manner to the media, to the coaching staff. You're better off just not saying anything, no comment, leaving the locker room and taking the fine. And even still, in my eyes, with what being said, I think a suspension is a little far. Maybe I could be wrong, but him talking about the coaching staff or the team in that matter, detriment, you can still just fine him and not suspend him. Suspending him a game, I don't know what else was said behind closed doors. I don't know what had taken place. There must have been some type of real fighting words or a fight taking place for somebody to suspend someone or for him to act in that manner. And the game, I don't know if you watched the game. I could tell from the jump in the second half, he looked disinterested. He did not look like a part of the game. Before he even said anything in the media, I said something happened in that locker room to where it turned him off. He did not care about the game, did not care to play. And either coaching staff told him not to shoot anymore. I know he wasn't shooting well from 3, whether it was like 19, 20% coming into the game, then he was 0 for 6 in the game. But the way he was just catching the ball, not even looking at the rim, not in attack mode, not even finishing back cuts, like he was just looking like he was just out there just to be out there and did not care to compete. So I was like, yeah, something's going on. And sure enough, something comes out. But to me, all things being said and all options that could be, I think everyone is out of pocket. Like all around, this whole situation is wildly out of pocket.
All right. So you're saying, I'll get to the organization side, but you're saying that they're out of pocket because they went ahead and got TUOMAS IISALO. No, I'm going to mess up his name. You're saying that the organization IISALO. It's TUOMAS IISALO. All right,
IISALO.
3, 2, 1. So you're saying that the organization is out of pocket for signing TUOMAS IISALO to be their head coach because they didn't run it by Ja Morant. I'm curious. Do you actually know that, or what do you know?
I don't know that. I don't know, but my inclination is that Ja is not happy with what the coaching staff is doing or okay with, and that's alarming to me. Like, why would you bring in this new guy that your superstar is not okay with, and then firing Taylor Jenkins and having him take over if your superstar is not comfortable with or having issues with right now? Like, that's not a good sign. And if you're planning on getting rid of your superstar, okay, that's one thing. That's one thing, but he's one of your main guys. You should run this by Jaren Jackson Jr., Ja Morant, Desmond Bane at the time. Like, those are your top 3 foundational guys. Ask them their input. I know they're young. You may not respect their input. Either way, you should still find out how they feel about the change before you make the change happen. It shouldn't be a surprise to them. And once it happens, they should be able to embrace or welcome the new coaching staff with open arms. And if not, then you need to find somebody else to replace Taylor Jenkins outside of, TUOMAS. I think he's a good coach. I have no issues with him. I think he's great. I got a chance to interview him last year. But if Ja Morant is not cool with the systems that he has in play or how he talks to him or how he approaches them, I know he respected Taylor Jenkins. I don't know how much he respects, the new guy. So you have a situation on your hands, which is something you could have prevented 6 months ago, or however long ago it was before you fired Taylor Jenkins. So even with that being said, the organization is out of pocket. Like, Ja Morant not conducting himself in a professional manner, out of pocket. Organization suspending a guy for saying a couple words that, to me, yes, it was unprofessional, but it wasn't crazy, out of pocket. Firing Taylor Jenkins. If your superstar is not okay with the second group behind him, out of pocket. Like, this is a wild, messy situation. It couldn't get very messy. And now all of a sudden you're looking at your superstar player that might not be happy and possibly asking out. What are you going to do then?
So from your estimation, it just doesn't seem like Ja Morant is down with the new coaching regime and what TUOMAS IISALO is trying to implement with this offense or defense or the principles in general.
That's what it looked like. Or maybe he's just not down with how he criticizes him. Again, which I loved about the organization. First of all, how they did things. They were such an discipline, order, they communicated greatly. And the players, they really enjoyed interacting with each other. They like to play together, and they were okay and open to criticism. They were allowing themselves to be coached, very much like the San Antonio Spurs organization. Taylor Jenkins brought that environment, that atmosphere to that group. He was able to criticize Ja. He was able to criticize Jaren Jackson Jr., Desmond Bane, without them taking it in a negative manner and going out there and not playing their game. I don't know if Ja's taking this same type of or same energy from this group the same way, or maybe they're just doing it in a manner he is not okay with. So yeah, this could get messier. And again, now Ja might have been matured over some time, but from what I've seen and for what a lot of us know, he doesn't seem like the type of guy to just, be submissive to a situation and be like, all right, from what we've seen, again, he's gotten fined for celebration. Did he stop celebrating? Absolutely not. He's going to find a different way to celebrate. Is he going to stop doing what he does? No, he's going to find a way to get his way. So if he's not getting his way, he may not say, ask the coaching staff. He might comment Marshawn Lynch next time. I'm just here so I don't get fined. He's going to do something to where it's going to continually be annoying to the organization, to the fan base, and it could get messy. It could get really messy, but he's not going to back down. He's not the type of guy to act like he cares about getting suspended or getting a fine. He's going to be like, look, I want to hoop. I want to play basketball, and I'm going to do it the way I want to do it. And until that happens, I'm going to, be a pain in the I could see him being a thorn in their side for suspending him.
Well, here's the interesting thing about the situation. From what we understand, the new head coaching regime wanted to implement a system that allowed for more free play in basketball and maybe not as much pick and roll. And that just didn't end up. It doesn't look like it's working out. And for whatever reason, Ja Morant is also just not shooting well. He is 15% from the 3-point line. It just seems as if what they're trying to implement, Ja Morant is either not playing well in it and or not buying in. And I think what makes it even more difficult is when you bring in a guy who doesn't have credentials, who doesn't necessarily come from like a regime or a coaching staff or a coaching tree that earns automatic respect. And for you, I'd be curious to get your opinion. How difficult can it be for a superstar or any player in general to adapt and adjust and be okay with a coaching philosophy? For example, I'm going to kind of put you on the spot here. I remember when you were in Toronto, and even though Nick Nurse has proven himself to be a championship head coach, I remember there were still times you were like, yo, it was still hard at times for you to kind of figure out what he was doing or the logic behind what he was doing. And I know you weren't necessarily the only one. And that just happens when you're a first year head coach. And you're going to get judged. And it makes it even more difficult when you have the level of strain and attention that the Memphis Grizzlies and Ja Morant have on them.
At the time, he wasn't a championship head coach. So yes, we definitely questioned a lot of the things not a lot of things, some of the things that was going on. Even so, championship head coach or not, guys in this league do not give a damn. They're going to be questioned. Nick Nurse is a championship head coach now. And I'm sure in Philly, some of the guys look at him like, what? Even after we had won a championship, Toronto, some of the guys had issues or questions of like, why are we doing it this way? What's going on? Like, oh, we don't have the personnel to do that. You've seen what happened with Frank Vogel in Phoenix, Bud in Phoenix. Like, there's a bunch of guys that have won championships before, have been questioned and fired after 1 year, regardless if you won one or not. So, yes, having a championship helps. But unless you've been around for a long time, and also it helps if you're like a player's coach or a coach that had played like a Doc Rivers, it's going to be hard to earn that respect right away. If you're a guy that nobody knows who you are, like what Phoenix did, like what Memphis did, it's going to be a lot harder to get that locker room unless, you come in with a different type of energy on some Ted Lasso type shit. You know what I'm saying? So, they might like that type of fun, happy energy where in the locker room, it's like, all right, cool, coach is coming in, but also have the respect from the guys to be able to criticize and to come down on them and then be like, okay, it's time to lock in and take it serious. But again, regardless if you have a championship or not, there's always going to be questions about what you do. These guys, these players, know they've been around for a long time. They played the game and they make a lot of money. They make a lot more money than coaching. One of the reasons why I do not want to coach. You're dealing with egos and you're dealing with guys that make more money than most of the coaching staff, except for the head coach. Some of the guys don't. But even still, guys know the game and they're going to question why high IQ guys going to be like, all right, they're going to want input. And if they don't have input, they're going to question it. And if you don't come to them in a respectful way or you criticize them in a non-respectful way, which most coaches do from middle school on to college, it's going to be hard to gain that respect.
All right, we're going to finish this up with the Grizzlies and Ja Morant here in just a second. All right, worst case scenario, best case scenario.
Best case scenario, Ja takes this opportunity to see, all right, that was unprofessional. I'm going to do what I need to do. I'm going to see if I can buy in. And they turned it around because he was playing well up until this point. He was averaging 20 plus points and he just had a game winner in Phoenix the night before on a floater. And he was the reason why they were winning games. Obviously, Jaren Jackson Jr. had been playing well also, and they had some good, production from the young guys. But Ja's the head of the snake. So best case scenario, you get your star on board. Do I see that happening? No. I don't see the worst case scenario happening, but I see at best what's going on. You get Ja to kind of play throughout the season. Worst case scenario, it gets worse. He starts doing more with the social media, with the media, in the locker room, and asks to be traded out. And you're forcing your hand to trade him somewhere where you don't want him to, and you don't get what you want in return. So yes, best case scenario, he turns it around, which I don't see. Worst case scenario, I hope I don't see. But I think there's a middle ground where they can figure out a way that, Coach IISALO and Ja Morant can coexist with that coaching staff, and they can kind of come to terms. And sometimes, after a fight, even it's like you respect each other more. So maybe there's more a mutual respect that happens more to where they can continue a working relationship and they both can figure out a way to be successful.
Realistic scenario, I predict that Ja Morant is in trade rumors by the end of the season. By the end of the season, I think they're realistically thinking about trade opportunities for Ja Morant, particularly if you can get in the top 3 of this upcoming NBA draft, because the talent at the top of the draft, Danny, is spectacular. Darren Peterson, AJ DeBanster, and Cameron Boozer are capturing a lot of attention, especially with the college basketball season officially getting started on Monday, November 3rd. With that being said, I wanted to go over to another topic here because it is getting kind of messy. It's not looking good for the New Orleans Pelicans. If you want a flashback, you go back to the NBA draft. The New Orleans Pelicans traded away a first-round pick in next year's draft in order to get the draft rights of Derek Queen. Derek Queen hasn't made any noise in the NBA as it presently stands. Also, New Orleans Pelicans are winless on the season after getting smacked around by the Oklahoma City Thunder on Sunday. What makes it even worse, Danny? Again, now, because of them being winless, the Atlanta Hawks are going to have their draft position next year. Now, why in the world would you do such a thing if you're Joe Dumars, who just got hired to be the front office executive for the New Orleans Pelicans? I don't know. But nonetheless, he made the trade, and this is the situation that the Pelicans are in. And I think that makes it even worse, Danny, because you spent the offseason trying to, I guess, revamp this team. You got a healthy Zion. You brought in Jordan Poole, and you made the draft day trade for Derek Queen, and it doesn't seem like it's going to do anything but cause more fan base discouragement, because it's not leading to any wins, and the future is still going to be bleak because you don't have the lottery pick. It's looking to look like one of the worst moves that we've seen. It's not the Luka Doncic trade for sure. It's not, because Luka Doncic is a proven talent, but it is looking to be one of the worst trades we've seen in a long time, particularly when you talk about draft night trades. And I would say, Danny, it makes it even more difficult for a guy like Willie Green to survive, because Joe Dumars is not firing himself, or he's not getting fired right away. Willie Green is put in an unfortunate circumstance now because maybe the team is just not good enough to have wins. Maybe the team shouldn't have been focusing on trying to get a play-in spot and should have just been focusing on what does this team just look like with a healthy Zion, or maybe they should have moved on from Zion. All of these different questions you could ask, and when you have so many questions, it just means that the situation is a mess, and that's exactly what it looks like.
Yeah, I second that. At this point, I know it's this early in the season. You're still waiting to see what the team looks like. DeJounte Murray comes back healthy. But at this point, I'm grooming my young guys. Fears, Queen, I'm letting them go and do their thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the perfect time. Like, and obviously you want Zion to,
but that's the thing. But Danny, if you groom the young guys and basically say we're okay with losing, you're basically saying, okay, Atlanta Hawks, have my first round draft pick. Have a number 3 pick in the draft.
So my question to you is, what looks worse? Trying and losing, or actually just letting your young guys play and losing? Because either way, to me, I think you're losing. And it looks worse if you got the group together with DeJounte healthy and Zion and all those other guys, Trey Murphy, and you paid all these guys, and Zion obviously trying to prove himself that he can stay healthy and, get the guarantee on the back end of his contract. So yes, make him prove that. But again, you can still do both. I feel like you can still play those guys and try, but also groom your young guys. Because at this point, it doesn't look like it's going to happen for you either way. Like, you're going to lose regardless when you're trying or not trying. So just play your guys, play the young guys, groom the young guys, and see what they can become of, because it doesn't look good for you right now. Now, again, it could turn around when DeJounte comes back, but as of right now, it looks pretty bad.
Well, during the offseason, there was a lot of trade buzz surrounding Trey Murphy, a 3-and-D type of player. He gets a lot of three-pointers up. He's shown that he could be a good defender. I would almost say, Danny, he is the one person on that team that could maybe save them from themselves, in the sense that he's still a valued commodity in this NBA, and you could trade him and potentially get back in the lottery mix for next year, because it just, with the way that the West is set up, with the way that they've gotten off to this start, it just doesn't seem like they're going to be able to make any noise. And what's the sense of, being a lottery team without having lottery assets in terms of draft capital? That's the thing that hurts. You can't be a lottery team that doesn't reap the rewards of being a lottery team. And that's how it's good. And that's how it's going to look right now for the New Orleans Pelicans. It's just abysmal front office management, and frankly, abysmal performance on the court. Both of those things don't correlate to any type of success, not in the short term and not in the long term.
You know, who they're going to look at and blame first is the coaching staff. So Willie Green is very much in a hot seat. Who they're going to look at last is the front office. Front office will come back after they fire 2 or 3 iterations of coaching staffs. But yes, can they trade Trey Murphy? Can they trade Herb Jones? Yeah, they can move some pieces to make it look better or be better. Ultimately, man, it comes down to this. I don't want to say one. It is bad. I don't want to say one person put them in a bad position, but this is a bad situation on a couple fronts. And I think, you know, if Zion were to be Zion healthy for the last couple seasons, would it be different? Possibly. If DeJounte Murray didn't get hurt, would it be different? You know, CJ, they had too many injuries. Last year, it was just a bad year. And them being unhealthy was really bad. And then instead not using your draft picks right now or not letting them kind of groom or emerge, like Derek Queen, to me, I think was a steal of the draft. I thought he was a very good pick. Right now, I don't hear anything about his name because I don't think they're using him at all. Just like Utah with Ace Bailey. He's not even getting playing time, really. But again, Utah is a better start than New Orleans, which is kind of crazy to say because I expected more from New Orleans. But yeah, it's a bad all around, and Willie Green is not the guy to blame.
Well, I would just look at the roster construction. I think that's part of the reason too, because Zion is a guy who wants the ball in his hands. Jordan Poole is a guy who wants the ball in his hands. Trey Murphy wants to get set up for good for jumpers. I think it's only going to get more messy, Danny, when DeJounte Murray comes back, because DeJounte Murray is going to want the ball in his hands. Like the roster construction might be the second worst roster construction we have right now in the NBA after the Sacramento Kings. And it's not that those guys aren't talented. The roster just doesn't make sense.
Agreed. I can see a world where Ja Morant might end up there playing with Zion. So
no. Well, yeah, I mean, no.
You don't see a world where that happens?
What assets do the Pelicans have?
You just said Trey Murphy, Herb Jones. They can get other pieces. DeJounte Murray. They have a lot of pieces. But
they got KCP already, and they got Cedric Coward, and they got.
You think that's so? It's not a 1-for-1. It's a package deal. It's always a package deal. It's never straight up.
Okay.
If Ja Morant caused enough riff, and no other contending teams really want him, because what contending teams are going to look at Ja Morant and say, you know what, we're gonna somebody will. So we'll take a chance on it and be like, all right, off the court. Give me some names. Give me some school. Give me some organizations that's going to take a chance. Contending.
Danny, you don't think the Miami Heat would take a roll of the dice on Ja Morant?
They're not contending. And no, Pat Riley maybe, but no, I don't think so.
I think Pat Riley would roll the dice.
Deal? You think he would deal? Okay, I don't think.
I think Pat Riley would roll the dice. I think
they're already dealing with an issue with Terry Rozier right now.
The Cavs wouldn't do this, but I think trading for Ja Morant would be a good move for them.
Who do you give up? Darius? You're still in the same situation.
Give up Darius, and I would even entertain trading away Jared Allen. Yeah, 100%.
So you still got the two small guards with Don and Ja. Now whose team is it?
Yeah, but Ja's more dynamic than Darius. We know that. Well, look, I don't want to get into trade scenarios.
For sure. But defensively, it's the same thing. Okay.
For sure. I didn't prep for that, so I don't want to get
again, I'm looking at major cities. There's some major cities that are able to do so, but it's like, who's going to take the chance? Who's in contention that's going to do that? I don't see the contenders doing so, or some major city. He's going to want to go to a major city, possibly Chicago, but they already got Josh Giddey playing well. You know what I'm saying? Like, they got a point guard. Yeah, I'm looking at major cities. Miami maybe, but they got Tyler Hero. And why would you want that when you already had a Terry Rozier? You just have a Terry Rozier on your hands right now. Issue. You're gonna bring in Ja Morant and possibly have another. Like, I'm not gonna go through that. No, if you're LA, there's nobody. What major cities? What contention teams? Give you some time. Boston, like,
give me some time. Knicks, I'll come back.
None of these teams. No, bro. I already thought about it. There's some teams. New Orleans is a team like that. Is a team that's gonna be like, all right, yeah, we're Sacramento, maybe. You know what I'm saying? Like, those teams. All right, we got a bunch of pieces we give up.
Sacramento would definitely do it.
We need 100%. To sell tickets. Let's do it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
We need to turn this around. But
teams that need to turn it around are the ones that I'm looking at, not contenders and even major cities, because there are some major cities that need to turn around, but not a bunch of them.
Well, I'll have a better list because I don't think this Ja Morant thing is going to stop anytime soon. But I want to go into some other news from games that we saw on Sunday night. Speaking of the Miami Heat took on the Los Angeles Lakers, and I'm watching the game, Danny, and I'm saying to myself, wow, the Heat are really moving fast, and anybody who has the ball in their hand is allowed to take it to the basket. It's not just Andrew Wiggins. It's not just Bam Adebayo off a pump fake. It's Nikola Jovic. It is Jaime Jaquez Jr. It is Davion Mitchell. It is Fontecchio. It's anybody who has the ball is able to just attack off rip. And while I appreciate how easy it can be for them at times because they're catching teams off guard, I applaud Eric Spoelstra for trying something different from what feels to me as year after year of stagnant Miami Heat offenses. I do think there needs to be some level of, okay, let's chill a little bit. Like, not everybody should have free reign. I understand it's probably fun for everybody to play in for the most part, but at a certain level, it's like, nah, chill. Like, imagine when Tyler Hero comes back and he's like, well, Nikola Jovic just got 10 drives to the rim while I stood on the perimeter, or he didn't even allow me to space because he was moving so fast. I do think there needs to be a little bit more constraint to this free-flowing offense. Your thoughts?
I agree, but right now, no. There is no Tyler Hero there, so what's the constraint? There is no Norman Powell in the lineup. We need this right now. What's your expectation for the Miami Heat right now? None. You don't expect them to do anything.
Yep.
None. They're playing above expectation right now. They beat your beloved Knicks. They're staying in games. They all could have beat the Spurs. They are staying in games with this offense. Fontecchio is having a career year. Jaime Jaquez having a career year. These guys are playing good basketball. They're moving the ball. They're pushing the pace. They're driving, kicking, and swinging. I love this for this type of roster because they don't have the pieces to slow down and chill. Who is the ISO guy on that group? Bam is the only guy that I look at.
I'm not saying they have Tyler Hero and chill.
I get you. When Tyler Hero comes back, then we'll see if Spo changes it up. I'm sure he will because they will have some pick and roll. Tyler Hero is not a guy that's going to ISO. He's a pick and roll guy. So it's going to be Bam and Tyler on the pick and roll. When Norman Powell comes back, I'm sure they're going to, with both those guys together, there's going to be some chill. But when you have a second group or a group like that, and this is how they're playing, and you're getting the best out of them, Fontecchio and Jaime Jaquez, because Jaime Jaquez was not looking like Jaime Jaquez last year. Right now, he's looking like the guy that they were trying to groom to, or people did not want to trade because there was guys like, oh, we're not going to put him in trades because he's too valuable. We can't trade him for Donovan Mitchell, or for whoever else that was available. Kevin Durant. It's like, everybody else but him. And they looked crazy last year because you barely played him and he didn't play well last year. Now he's hooping 31 against the Lakers. Fontecchio shooting well. Jovic shooting it well. Like, they have guys that are hooping. Bam shooting a three confidently. So right now, with the expectation being so low, you're going to surprise them. You need this with your guys being out, especially your two main scorers. When they come back, okay, yes, we can chill and slow it down, which I fully expect because Tyler Hero is not a guy that's going to just drive, kick, swing. He's going to come off his game is pick and roll. It's a little bit of ISO, but it's pick and roll, him and Ben. That's a two-man game. Then you have a mix of it. So I like it right now. And I think it only gets better when those guys come back because they'll have a better mix and they'll have more scoring guys that are more capable. I don't see Jovic taking those 10 to 15 drives to kick. He ain't going 10 to 15 drives to score. He'll drive to find a Norman Powell, to find a Tyler Hero. He's not going to just drive to shoot every time because guys just know their pecking order. They know what time it is when it comes back to star players being on the court. We got to find those guys. And if there's an issue, they'll be subbed out or be taken out, or the star player look at them like, what the hell are you doing? So right now, with the expectation being so low, I'm cool with what they got going on right now. I actually enjoy watching them play. They're playing pretty good basketball. Fun basketball to watch.
Yeah, it's fun to watch. I just imagine it'd be frustrating if you were a star. But to your point, the stars like Tyler Hero and Norman Powell,
they're not there
last night. So I'll be interested to see how much restraint or how much freedom everybody else still has when those guys come back. All right, one more thing that came out on Sunday, a report from Fred Katz as it pertains to Josh Hart, that there's nerve damage all throughout his shooting hand, and he can lose feeling doing everyday tasks. He re-injured his shooting hand during this past summer during a pickup game. And I think a lot of Knicks fans, Knicks fans love Josh Hart. They absolutely love Josh Hart because he plays
heart
hard
and soul of the team.
Yeah. But I think there's going to be some kickback here if Josh Hart doesn't shoot well, I think he's always going to play well because he's always going to play hard. But he could be in a situation where he can get played off the floor, and Knicks fans are going to say, yo, why didn't you get the surgery and miss the first third of the season, the first half of the season? Because all that matters for the New York Knicks. It's not the NBA Cup. It's not having the best regular season record. It's not even having home court advantage. All that matters is getting to the NBA Finals at the very least. That's it. That's the only thing that can reasonably satisfy Knicks fans this year. So Knicks fans, again, are going to say if Josh Hart is in a situation where he's not shooting well and he gets played off the floor because he can't space the floor because he had this hand injury that he didn't get surgery on, nobody's going to be happy about it at all, as hard as he might play. I'm sure maybe you know of players that maybe had to think of, should I just play through this injury or should I get the surgery and miss time? Like, what do you think went through the thoughts there, and how would you handle it if you were him?
I think he thought that it would come back naturally over time. I'm sure that was what was advised to him, that he didn't need the surgery, and right now it's not on pace to heal the way he expected it to. But at this point, he has no choice now. And I told you, the reason why the Knicks weren't the Knicks last year, even against Indiana, is because Josh Hart wasn't Josh Hart. Him coming off the bench, I thought, was what kind of deterred him, off his normal route. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think, Mitchell Robinson starting, it kind of threw a wrench in it. He's used to playing under Tibbs 35, 40 plus minutes, damn near 48 minutes. Tibbs, I got you. You need me back to backs, I'll play all the minutes, pushing the pace. And then the reason why he's such the heart and soul of the team, not only because he did the dirty work, the blue collar work, but he was shooting 40+% from three as a Knick. Like, he was shooting high clips, especially in the playoffs. In the playoffs, he's shooting like 45%, which most guys around the league know that's not a normal Josh Hart. But New York knows him. That's what he has been in New York. That's why he's got that extension. He's developed. He's been shooting it with confidence. He's played a lot better as a New York Knick. And this could really hurt him in the realm. Not only adapting, adjusting to a new system with Mike Brown, coming off the bench, and now losing confidence in your shooting because you have no nerves in your hand. That's going to be, like I said, he's the heart and soul of that team. I mean, I don't know, man. This is tough, especially at this point in the season. You can't get the surgery. I don't know what the recovery time is. Is it worth it to do it like right away? Probably not. You have to do it next summer. Best advice I can give is, drink some breast milk or put some breast milk on it. See what can happen. It's a liquid gold. You know what I'm saying? Get back into your breast milk bag. See what can happen. But right now, again, just try to continue to get the reps. Try to see if you can find ways to rehab, you get the nerves to come back. There's other ways I think you can try to get the nerve back, but this is a tough scenario, a tough situation. All jokes aside, did their pod a couple weeks ago. Great dudes, man. He's my guy. He's been on pod before, and I told him I was rooting for him this year because the city does need it, and there's a lot of pressure on Mike Brown, who's a guy that I know and love as well. He's one of my first coaches coming into the NBA. He was my first coach coming into the NBA. So yeah, I don't like this for him or for them. But, Josh Hart has to be Josh Hart for the New York Knicks to be successful.
It could be much to do about nothing. So far this year, I think he's played well. Obviously, he's not playing in a starter's role anymore, but he has been playing well. Again, as a Knicks fan, and speaking for some Knicks fans, we are so concerned about the future, so concerned about what happens in April, May, and June, that this type of news that comes out on Sunday makes us think, no, this is not good. And we only want positive signs, or at least Knicks fans are going to anticipate what could go wrong. And that is obviously something you have to pin in there, like this could go wrong. Hopefully it doesn't, but this is definitely something that has to be of concern. Again, Josh Hart has played well so far this season, but it's not welcomed news. All right, let's continue to go here, and we're going to wrap up with our top 5 this time around because the Los Angeles Dodgers won a spectacular Game 7 of the World Series. That was a great playoff series, a great World Series. And so in honor of that, Danny, I wanted to go ahead and name my top 5 Game 7s in the NBA of all time. You ready?
Okay. All right. I feel like I'm a part of a couple of those, honestly.
More than likely you are. Let's go with number 5, 2008 Eastern Conference semifinals. You were there for that one. LeBron versus Paul Pierce. 45 on one side, 41 on the other side. No, you weren't there.
2008? I wasn't there. It was right before. I just missed the year before. I was there the year after we lost the Celtics, and he made a decision. But yes, we played I think they played Celtics back-to-back years, but that wasn't the East. We played them the first round. My 2009, 10 year.
You know what? You're right. My bad. All right, so let me start over. All right, let's go ahead. Number 5, 2010 Game 7 NBA Finals, Kobe versus the Celtics. It was an ugly game. It was an ugly game for sure, but sometimes you have to appreciate the ugly defensive effort. Sometimes Game 7s are not made to be played beautifully. I think more than anything, the narrative behind this game, obviously it's Kobe Bryant, obviously it's the Boston Celtics. There's obviously smoke between the two franchises. There's obviously history between the two franchises. There's definitely that for me. So 2010 NBA Finals, Kobe versus the Celtics. And mind you, I'm going to do Game 7s that were within my time frame. I'm not going to go back to the 60s or 70s because, frankly, I didn't watch those games, even though I understand there could have been a lot of talent in those games. So I'm just going to put that one there. Number 4, I'm going to go with the 2007 Western Conference Finals. Kobe to Shaq, the alley-oop, iconic play, cannot be forgotten. It was the beginning of the Lakers' run to go ahead and win multiple titles under Phil Jackson. Kobe and Shaq era really came to prominence with that play. So therefore, that's it for me. Number 3, and this one hurts me, but I have to keep it real in terms of Game 7 memories. 1994 Game 7 NBA Finals, New York Knicks at the Houston Rockets. I don't want to remember how poorly John Starks played in that game, but I cannot forget it, and I cannot act like it's not memorable. You had 2 Hall of Fame centers trying to win while Michael Jordan was gone. Hakeem versus Patrick Ewing. And yes, that game gets overshadowed because it was also the day when O.J. Simpson was being chased down in this white Bronco. Yeah, but nonetheless, that is part of the reason, too, why it's memorable. You cannot forget Game 7 of the 1994 NBA Finals because so much happened in that. That day will go down in history for a multitude of reasons. And the Knicks, obviously, as a Knicks fan, it stuck out to me as well. All right, so that's my number 3. Number 2, the Kawhi shot, 2019. Yeah. You had a Philadelphia 76ers team that was front-loaded with talent. Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, Jimmy Butler, Tobias Harris taking on not an upstart,
JJ Redick.
Revamped JJ Redick taking on a revamped Toronto Raptors team. During that series, there was injuries to Pascal Siakam. He was doubtful or questionable for some games. There was obviously situations with Joel Embiid. There was so many defensive matchups that were switching. Who's Ben Simmons going to guard? Who's going to guard Joel Embiid? It was a fascinating matchup all the way around, and it came all the way down to a bounce in. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. I remember being in the building. The building was shaking. Literally, I've been to hundreds of games at this point across all sports. I've never been in a building before where I literally thought it was shaking, and I thought there might have been parts of the building that could have collapsed. I literally thought that for moments after the eruption, after the shot went in. And then number one, come on now. Let's be real here. 2016 Game 7, LeBron and Kyrie go into Golden State and get the dub from the shot to the block to the stop. Come on now. Incredible moment. Two icons of the game going back and forth in a Game 7. And usually, this is what makes it so good. Usually in a Game 7, you don't get offensive performances like you got in that game. You don't get moments like that. You got all the moments. You got all the star power. And it was at the most crucial moments, because it was an NBA Finals, that you
biggest stage.
It's undefeated. If we see another Game 7 like that, we should just be thankful because that was one of the best NBA moments, particularly in the Game 7 that we'll ever see. And I frankly think it's the best one. So number one, Cavs Warriors 2016, the Kawhi shot in 2019, Knicks Rockets in 1999, 1994, excuse me. Then 2000, the Western Conference Finals, Lakers, Shaq, Kobe, the alley-oop, come on now. And then the 2010 NBA Finals, Kobe takes on the Celtics. A defensive, ugly matchup, but sometimes it's got to get a little bit dirty.
Not a bad list. I would have Kawhi above Cleveland, but I get the stage is bigger, so it's the finals because Kawhi is a buzzer beater shot. I'm surprised. Was Robert Horry's against Sacramento? Was that not a Game 7?
I believe I gotta go back and look at that one, but you got to take the moment versus the game itself.
Yes,
you got to take the moment Sacramento, versus the game. Yeah, for
Sacramento
sure.
was on their way, bro, and that could have that could have ruined the three-peat. Taking down the. Also, the Knicks versus was it Indiana when Pat missed was that a Game 7? Was that a game?
No, see, I don't want to have too many bad memories.
You went back to 94. I thought that one was a bigger one than 94. I guess 94 was you said the finals, so yeah.
Yeah, it was the finals. I'm talking about. I'm not necessarily talking about moments now. We're talking about entire games.
Got you. Good list. Some Knick ones in there. I'm surprised you said the Miami against Miami the year that we lost. That was a hell of a game series in the finals. We went to 7 games.
Yeah, I didn't. I didn't. The Game 7 in that one didn't. So here's the thing. It wasn't a close Game 7. Actually, it was a pretty close Game 7. It wasn't like Game 6 though. Game 6 was crazy. Exactly. You can't if the Game 6 from a entertainment value, Game 6 is always going to outshadow Game 7. So therefore, it can't make the list. A Game 7 can if any other game in the series outshines the Game 7, that Game 7 can't make the list.
Gotcha. Makes sense. Noted. I mean, Dodgers games that 7-game series had 19 innings, but the Game 7 was a good one too.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, it was very entertaining, and I maintain that the playoff baseball is the best type of playoffs because you don't know when it's going to end, and every pitch matters. In a basketball game, in a football game, you have downs that don't matter, you have plays that necessarily don't matter, but in baseball, one bad pitch, 2-run home run, game over. Every single pitch matters. Every single. Oh, you do 4 balls and now you walk somebody, and now there's two players on base with the team being down by 1, and they could take a 2-run lead going into the bottom of the 8th. Like every pitch matters in playoff baseball, and that's what makes it exciting. Because it could literally change. You could have a game that could change just like that. Even in football, you make one play, it's only 1 touchdown. You make you hit a 3 in the NBA, it's only 1 possession. You're only down 1 possession. You hit a 3-run home run in baseball out of nowhere. That could be game. The game could be decided in a snap of a finger, and that's what makes it exciting. Even hockey,
big shout out.
You score a goal, you're only down 1. You're only down 1 goal.
Depending on the timing of everything. For sure.
Exactly. A grand slam out of nowhere, it's over.
Yeah.
So it keeps
big shout out to the Dodgers, man. They had the city rocking. You weren't here. We didn't get a chance to watch the whole series or the whole game. And it was looking shaky the other night. It was looking shaky. But I said I had to put the kids to sleep, and we don't do a lot of screen time. So just putting them to sleep with no TV and just watching the score. But they had the city rocking, bro. I'm going outside, take the dogs outside to use the bathroom. You hear people yelling, "Let's go, kids, let's go, Dodge." People yelling at their TVs. And my neighborhood is not even like that. My neighborhood is a very quiet, peaceful neighborhood. But they had the neighborhood, rocking. And then after they won, fireworks going crazy, buzzing, people yelling, cheering. So the city was on fire. And then they got back yesterday. You seen the helicopters. You see like 4 helicopters watching them arrive, like protect. So yeah, shout out to the Dodgers, man, doing it again. Having a city on 100, and they're going to celebrate that parade today, I'm assuming. So yeah, should be a good one.
Yeah, should be a good one for sure. Thank you guys for tuning in. This pod still coming out on Tuesday, I believe. We'll be back live again. If not by the end of this week, we'll go live again next week. So thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Read, rate, subscribe, review.
Oh yeah, that part. Peace.
Yeah.